So, good day to you, viewers. My name is Shariar Baliah,
I'm RENZ NOCOM.
and we're going to talk about our great book, which entitled Moby Dick or The Whale by Herman Melville. So, we will be discussing the brief author and text background, the summary, and comments on plot, comparison and contrast with other great books and reviews, and 3 predictions, and also lastly the conclusion. So let's get to it. So the summary. Moby Dick famously begins with the narrational invocation, "Call me Ishmael." The narrator, like his biblical counterpart, is an outcast. Ishmael, who turns to the sea for meaning, relays to the audience the final voyage of the Pequod, a whaling vessel. Amid a story of tribulation, beauty, and madness, the reader is introduced to a number of characters, many of whom have names with religious resonance. The ship's captain is Ahab, who Ishmael and Pequod soon learn is losing his mind. Starbuck, Ahab's first mate, recognizes this problem too, and is the only one throughout the novel to voice out his disapproval of Ahab's increasingly obsessive behavior. This nature of Ahab's obsession is first revealed to Ishmael and Pequod after the Pequod's owners, Peleg and Bildad, explained to them that Ahab is still recovering from an encounter with a large whale that resulted to the loss of his leg. The whale's name is Moby Dick. The Pequod sets sail, and the crew is soon informed that this journey will be unlike their other whaling missions. This time, despite the reluctance of Starbuck, Ahab intends to hunt and kill the beastly Moby Dick no matter what the cost. Ahab and the crew continue their eventful journey and encounter a number of obstacles along the way. Pequod falls ill, which prompts a coffin to be built in anticipation of the worst. After he recovers, the coffin becomes a replacement lifeboat that eventually saves Ishmael's life. Ahab receives a prophecy from a crew member informing him of his future death, which he ignores. Moby Dick is spotted and, over the course of 3 days, engages violently with Ahab and the Pequod until the whale destroys the ship, killing everyone except Ishmael. Ishmael survives by floating on Pequod's coffin until he is picked up by another ship, the Rachel. So moving on with the characters. So we'll start with Ishmael, the narrator, and a junior member of the crew of the Pequod. Ishmael doesn't play a major role in the events of the novel, but much of the narrative is taken up by his eloquent, verbose, and extravagant discourse on whales and whaling. Despite his centrality to the story, Ishmael doesn't reveal much about himself to the reader. We know that he has gone to the sea out of some deep spiritual malaise, and that shipping aboard a whaler is his version of committing suicide. He believes that men aboard a whaling ship are lost to the world. It is apparent from Ishmael's frequent digressions on a wide range of subjects from art, geology, and anatomy to legal codes and literature that he is intelligent and well educated. Yet, he claims that a whaling ship has been his Yale College and his Harvard. The mythic, romantic aspects of Moby Dick is perhaps fitting that its narrator should be an enigma. Not everything in a story, so dependent on fate and seemingly supernatural needs to make perfect sense. Next would be Ahab. The egomaniacal captain of the Pequod, Ahab lost his leg to Moby Dick. He is single-minded in his pursuit of the whale, using a mixture of charisma and terror to persuade his crew to join him as a captain. He is a dictatorial but not unfair. At moments, he shows compassionate side, caring for the insane Pip and musing on his wife and child back in Nantucket. So, Ahab, the Pequod's obsessed captain, represents both an ancient and quintessentially modern type of a hero. Like the heroes of Greek or Shakespearean tragedy, Ahab suffers from a single fatal flaw, one he shares with such legendary characters as Oedipus and Faust. His tremendous overconfidence or hubris leads him to defy a common sense and believe that, like a god, he can enact his will and remain immune to the forces of nature. He considers Moby Dick the embodiment of evil in the world, and he pursues the white whale monomaniacally because he believes it his inescapable fate to destroy evil. According to the critic M. H. Abrahams, such as tragic hero moves us to pity because since he is not an evil man, his misfortune is greater than he deserves. But he moves also to fear because we recognize similar possibilities of error in our own lesser fallible selves.
Next character is the Moby Dick. The great white sperm whale, Moby Dick, also referred to as the white whale, is an infamous and dangerous threat to seamen. Considered by Ahab the incarnation of the evil and fated nemesis. In a sense, Moby Dick is not a character. As a reader, he has no access to the white whale's thoughts, feelings, or intentions. Instead, Moby Dick is an impersonal force, one that many critics have interpreted as an allegorical representation of God, as an inscrutable and all-powerful being that humankind can neither understand nor define. Moby Dick works free will and cannot be defeated, only accommodated or avoided. Ishmael tries a plethora of approaches to describe whales in general, but none prove adequate. Indeed, as Ishmael points out, the majority of a whale is hidden from the truth at all times. In this way, a whale mirrors its environment, like the whale only the surface of the ocean is available for human observation and interpretation, while in depth conceals unknown and unknownable truth. Furthermore, even when Ishmael gets his hand on a whale, he is unable to determine which part, the skeleton, the head, the skin, offers the best understanding of the breathing creature. He cannot localize the essence of the whale. This conundrum can be read as a metaphor for a human relationship with a Christian God or any other God for the matter. God is unknowable and cannot be pinpointed. The other character, Pequod. Starbucks killed harpooner Ishmael's best friend. Pequod was one a prince of South Sea Island who stowed away on a whaling ship in search of adventures. He is composite element of Africa, Polynesian, Slavic, Christian, and Native American cultures. He is a brave and generous and enabled Ishmael to see their way as no burial on. The next are Starbuck, and Last. The Pequod female are used primarily to provide philosophical contrast to Ahab. Starbuck, the first mate, is a religious man. Sober and conservative, he relies on his Christian faith to determine his action and interpretations of events. Stubb, the second mate, is a jolly cool in a moment of crisis. He has worked in the dangerous occupations of whaling for so long that the possibility of death has ceased to concern him. A fatalist, he believes that things happen as they are meant to and that there is a little that he can do about it. Plus, simply enjoys the thrill of the hunt and takes pride in killing well. He doesn't stop to consider consequences at all and is utterly lost to all sense of reverence for the whale. All three of these perspectives are used to accentuate Ahab's monomania. Ahab reads his experience as the result of conspiracy against him by some larger force. Unlike Flash, he thinks and interprets. Unlike Stab, he believes that he can alter his world. Unlike Starbuck, he replaces himself rather than some external set of principles at the center of the cosmic order and he is
Themes of the novel. The limits of knowledge. As Ishmael tries in the opening pages of Moby Dick, he offers a simple collection of literary excerpts mentioning whales. He discovers that throughout history, the whale has taken care of incredible multiplicity of meanings. Over the course of the novel, he makes sure of nearly every discipline known to man in his attempts to understand the essential nature of the whale. Each of these systems of knowledge, however, including art, taxonomy, and phrenology, fails to give an adequate account. The multiplicity of approaches that Ishmael takes, coupled with his compulsive need to assert his authority as a narrator, and the frequent reference to the limits of observation, man cannot see the depths of the ocean, for example, suggest that human knowledge is always limited and insufficient when it comes to Moby Dick himself. This limitation takes on allegorical significance. The ways of Moby Dick, like those of the Christian God, are unknowable to man, and thus trying to interpret them as Ahab does is inevitably futile and often fatal. The deceptiveness of fate, in addition to highlighting many portentous or foreshadowing events. Ishmael's narrative contains many references to fate, creating the impression that Pequod's doom is inevitable. Many of the sailors believe in prophecies, and some of them even claim the ability to foretell the future. A number of things suggest, however, that characters are actually deluding themselves when they think that they see the world of fate and that fate either doesn't exist or is one of many forces about which human beings can have no distinct knowledge. The third is the exploitative nature of whaling. At first glance, the Pequod seems like an island of equality and fellowship in the midst of a racist, hierarchically structured world. The ship's crew includes men of all corners of the globe and all races who seem to get along harmoniously. With this, it protrudes to the unification of races around each and every part of the globe.
With author text background. The author, Herman Melville, grew up listening to the sea-faring tales. Melville himself was well-versed in whaling, as he had spent some time abroad with the Akashian, a whaling vessel which gave him first-hand experience. He also did a tremendous amount of research, consulting a number of scientific sources, as well as an account of historical events that he incorporated in Moby Dick. The writing of Moby Dick in June of 1850, he described the book to his publisher in England as a romance of adventure founded upon certain wild legend in the southern sperm whale fisheries. The novel consists 135 chapters and an epilogue.
So we move on the comparisons and contrast with other great books. I could compare this novel similar to The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. wherein the setting of the story took place both in the sea, which in both novels the fish becomes the struggle upon the specific characters.
Brief predictions as to how you thought the story would have ended while you were reading the text halfway through. When the ship sank and Ishmael got off with the coffin, I thought the coffin would have been packed very well. Hence everyone dies. Captain Ahab would haven't risked it after all just to take a revenge on the nature of the creature once he did encounter it at last. Ishmael should have persuaded Captain Ahab to stop the hunt for the whale and take him to the area that he should have gone for, thus leaving out the whale.
In conclusion, the whale Moby Dick has been interpreted as a metaphor for a great many things, from the Judeo-Christian God to atheism and everything in between. The ambiguity that Herman Melville built into this depiction of the whale makes Moby Dick capacious in its meaning. So for that, thank you for watching.